Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a true global phenomenon. We're dissecting The Office.
But not just as a sitcom.
No, not at all. We're looking at it as this surprisingly deep source of sociological insight. The material we went through presents this amazing conflict.
It really does. On one hand, you have a dramatic actor, a serious artist analyzing its nuance.
And on the other, you have these high-level business leaders looking at it for, believe it or not, practical management lessons.
It's an incredible stack of material. It proves that, Dunder Mifflin, that little paper company, it resonates way beyond the office park.
Right. And so the goal for this deep dive is to figure out how. How does one workplace comedy speak so profoundly to people from completely opposite worlds?
The creative and the corporate.
Exactly. We're looking at insights from two specific groups. First, the perspective of Wagner Moura, an actor you'd know from these incredibly complex, heavy roles.
And then the really pragmatic views of what our sources call the oligarchs.
And we should probably clarify that term right away.
Yeah, good idea. When we say that, we're talking about high-level corporate leaders, business magnates, people who operate in these very profit-driven, high-stakes environments.
The fact that they are analyzing this show alongside a celebrated actor, that just tells you this comedy is a kind of universal text.
It absolutely is.
So that's our core mission today.
Right.
How does a show about, bad sales calls and Jell-O pranks get this powerful artistic admiration and offer practical lessons to the world's top executives? The contrast is it's extraordinary.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's start with the artistic side of things, the sort of emotional truth of the show.
With Wagner Moura.
Yeah. His career is defined by these heavy, dramatic roles. So it seems like a bit of a strange favorite for him, right?
Really.
The Office is a cornerstone of modern TV.
It seems strange on the surface, but it actually speaks volumes about the depth of the writing and, particularly Steve Carell's performance.
What is it that Moura says draws him in?
It's not the punchlines. He says it's the seamless blend of humor with this really nuanced portrayal of, human behavior under pressure. He's looking for vulnerability, and he finds it in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I thought it was so striking that he basically dismisses the term sitcom for the show.
He does. He calls it a true drama.
A drama about people just forced to be together because of work. The monotony, the small dreams they have within those four walls.
And that's the thing that makes it so universal. Moura points out that the characters are written to be so relatable and real that you instantly recognize them.
You see them in your own office.
You see them in your office, in your friends, maybe even a little uncomfortably in yourself. That feeling of being seen, whereas he says that's the mark of great drama, not just good comedy.
And at the center of that dramatic reading, of course, is Michael Scott.
Inevitably.
Moore sees him as so much more than just a cringe boss. For him, it's a profound piece of character creation.
Oh, absolutely. The sources detail his belief that Michael Scott is one of the most complex and touching characters in TV history.
Not just comedy history.
No, all of television history. And when a dramatic powerhouse like Moura makes a claim like that, you have to look a little deeper at the character.
So why? Why does he rate Scott so highly as a dramatic achievement?
It's because of that brilliant, almost devastating conflict inside him. Moura points out Michael is, quote, funny, silly, but also incredibly kind and sincere.
That contradiction is key.
It's everything. It gives the character his weight. He's constantly doing these insensitive things, right? Crossing every boundary imaginable. But his fundamental motivation, his desperate, pathetic desire
is just to be loved.
Is to be loved and accepted by his employees, who he genuinely thinks of as his family. His mistakes come from this deep, profound insecurity, not from actual malice.
And that's the difference between, say, a simple plot device and a fully realized, flawed human being. So the artistic analysis here concludes the show extracts real humanity from the most mundane setting you can imagine. That's why an actor like Moura finds it so rich. He's not watching a sitcom, he's watching a character study.
Precisely. It's a drama about the universal search for identity and validation, just cleverly disguised by jokes about putting a stapler in Jell-O.
Okay, so now we make the jump.
The big jump.
We're moving from flawed dramatic arcs to the stark world of spreadsheets and mergers. Who would have possibly thought that high-level corporate leaders are analyzing Michael Scott?
Well, according to our source material, they see The Office as a genuine phenomenon. something that's actually worthy of their attention.
But for completely different reasons.
Oh, completely different. It's all about pragmatism. For them, this isn't about emotional texture. It's about applied behavioral science and management failure.
And their main takeaway is so practical. They see it as a collection of useful lessons on how not to manage a team.
Exactly. There's this running joke among these leaders that Michael Scott is the ultimate anti-mall.
The perfect bad example.
The perfect bad example for any leader. If you need a checklist for how to destroy morale or violate every HR policy, just watch a Michael Scott cold open. It's a hilarious but effective case study in disastrous leadership. They almost use it like a negative training manual.
But if that was it, it would just be mockery. This is where the source material gets really fascinating because they found a much more crucial, I'd even say contradictory lesson in all of this.
And that's the real insight. The sources show that these executives, people who live and die by metrics, they have to confront the fact that Scott reminds them that, quote, humanity and caring for people are more important than any corporate rules.
Which is a huge admission.
It's a profound admission, especially coming from a world that's so often driven purely by, short-term profit.
So how do they square that? Why would a leader focused on efficiency admit that messy human connection actually matters?
Because strict rules and cold metrics often lead to high turnover and low morale, which are in themselves really expensive failures.
I see.
Michael Scott, for all his incompetence, somehow creates this fiercely loyal, cohesive team. The sources suggest that by watching him fail so spectacularly at formal management, these leaders realize the hidden cost of being too corporate, too cold.
So his weird, desperate need for connection, it's actually a lesson.
In a twisted way, yes. It's a lesson in the kind of emotional investment you need for long-term productivity and, just keeping your people around.
So they're seeing through the terrible jokes and realizing that his core purpose, to humanize the workplace, it actually leads to a positive business outcome, even if it's chaotic.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it proves that even in the most formal, high-stakes environments, strong relationships are still the bedrock of success.
And they also point to something else specific, right? About humor.
Yes, the power of humor in a crisis. They observe that humor, even Michael's awkward, terrible humor, acts as this vital pressure release. It helps teams stay together and move forward even when things are going badly. The comedy is actually functional.
This is just fascinating. We have an actor seeing profound drama, and we have executives seeing unexpected lessons in emotional intelligence.
Two completely different life paths.
So what's the common ground? What do Moura and the business leaders actually agree on when it comes to Dunder Mifflin?
Well, they eventually land on the idea of universality.
Right.
Both groups recognize that the show is more than a sitcom because it's a deeply relatable story about the human condition at work. It doesn't matter if you're performing a complex emotional role or negotiating a complex financial deal.
Everyone's had an annoying coworker.
Everyone's dealt with bureaucracy, and everyone has that deep, persistent need for, human connection.
And the sources do a beautiful job of distilling this shared wisdom down into 3 core life lessons that both sides pull from the show.
Yeah, they do. The first one is pretty simple.
Yeah.
It teaches us to laugh at ourselves.
To just see our own awkwardness on screen and get over it.
Right, which then feeds directly into the second lesson.
Which is tolerance.
Exactly. It encourages us to be more tolerant of other people. I mean, every single character from Dwight to Angela has these messy, fundamental flaws.
And their coworkers just absorb it. They manage it.
They do. And that idea of tolerance is what lets an actor see the complexity in a character, and it's what lets an executive understand why a good team needs space for flaws, not just polished performance.
And the final lesson kind of ties it all together, doesn't it? The artistic need for meaning and the executive's pragmatic reality.
Yes, the third lesson is crucial. It helps us find joy even in the most routine, mundane things.
Like the daily grind of an office job.
Yeah. That mix of self-reflection, tolerance, and finding joy in small moments. That's a really powerful recipe for surviving and even thriving in any workplace.
So what does this all mean? It means the show is like a brilliant mirror. You have the actor looking at Michael Scott as a study in vulnerability.
And you have the corporate leaders looking at him as a study in management failure.
Yet both groups draw the exact same conclusion at the end of the day. The value of the human element will always outweigh the metrics.
Always.
So to quickly recap this deep dive, we've basically found that the office is working on 2 completely different levels at the same time. For the artistic mind, like Wagner Moura's, it's a powerful, subtle drama about the complexities of human nature and that desperate need for acceptance.
And for the pragmatic corporate mind, it's this bizarre but effective management manual. It's a warning against letting corporate coldness kill connection. It reminds them that while Michael Scott is the perfect example of what not to do strategically.
He's a great reminder of why caring in some flawed way actually matters to the bottom line.
Right. It validates the messy reality that every single business, no matter how big, is powered by emotional, flawed, relatable people.
And this shared conclusion, pulled from sources at opposite ends of the professional spectrum, it just reveals the incredible depth hiding under a simple "that's what she said" joke.
It really does.
It turns out the most effective comedy is often the one that holds the clearest mirror up to our own lives, making us feel seen in our flaws and, most importantly, allowing us to connect.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to explore. If a dramatic actor and a corporate leader can both find such profound, usable value in the show's emphasis on messy, complex relationships, maybe the most powerful truth about any successful project, corporate, creative, whatever, is that human connection and humor are the most potent forces you have.
More powerful than any strategy memo.
Way more powerful than any technical skill. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by a professional problem, maybe just stop and ask yourself, is this a data issue or is this fundamentally a people issue? And which approach would Michael Scott somehow accidentally solve?